So this is gonna be a weird video because it's gonna be a review of these two laptops, but I'm not gonna quite show you me using them right now because I got both of them set up to sell pretty soon. I don't want to go through the process of resetting them up to sell, but essentially it's a story of how I got these. This one, I had a laptop before this one, and I shouldn't have traded it, but I traded it. And you know what? I had fun. So I had this laptop that one of my friends gave me, and it was a school managed laptop. You couldn't do anything with it. I didn't have a login for it. I couldn't put my own logins. I couldn't even root it or anything. So I ended up buying a BIOS reprogrammer online, and I studied the chip on it to make sure I was using the right voltage BIOS programmer, because apparently for a lot of BIOS chips, they have I want to say 1.8 volt versions or 3.3, and if you mess it up, you could mess up the whole computer. So I did my research, looked up chip models and everything, and I got the right voltage. And a dude online named I think Mr. Chromebooks, he has a Mr. Chromebox firmware, and I was able to flash it on there, and it turned this locked down school managed Chromebook that was pretty much e-waste to a sweet ass, pretty much a regular laptop that you couldn't even tell it was a Chromebook no more if it wasn't for, pretty much that button and the top keys. You wouldn't be able to tell. And if you have just enough storage for it, you can run Windows. The reason why these aren't running Windows is because they only got 16 gigabytes, and I couldn't even fit any version of Windows on them. I have tried and tried and tried and tried. I can't run Windows 7 because they don't support these Chromebooks at all. But yeah, they're regular laptops. So here's my review of the modded version of these. Actually, no. I think I've used Chrome OS on these and they work fine. They're not slow. They're not stupid slow, but it's fine. But modded, I'm running Fedora. Actually, this one in particular, I have been installing different Linux distros, different operating systems on these. So many different ones. And I think it was an Arch Linux setup on this one with i3 and everything to make it as light as possible. And I used it to program. It was fine, but then I installed Fedora Workstation, and I'll probably play a video of it in the background. But Fedora Workstation, on 16 gigabytes of storage, I installed it and it left me with almost 8 gigabytes of storage free. And I want to say with updates on top of that, it might be a tiny bit less, but it's still a lot of storage. And it runs fast on these. I don't know how. It's running GNOME, which I used to think was so bloated and slow, and why would you run this? It doesn't even feel nice to use, but if you put a couple of extensions on, it's a desktop interface that feels like its own operating system. It has like all sorts of features built in. You have your screen zoom works, or your text zoom, which is pretty much your screen scaling. Stuff like that works flawlessly. You know, all the accessibility settings, screen times built in. It feels like if Apple made a Linux distro. And I've been able to run these pretty fast with it. I've been using Firefox. I would watch YouTube videos on these. This one in particular, I even installed like an email client. It's pretty cool because I can log into my Google account through GNOME. I only have to log into it once. And I have access to my Google Calendar without having to open my browser. I have access to my email without opening my browser. So it even has like background notifications for my my email, which is pretty sweet, because if I were to try to do that on my Windows gaming laptop, it would take up a lot of RAM, because they don't make a lot of lightweight ones for Windows that log in with Google. Oh yeah, the battery on these are crazy. If you were to take, like, let's say, I know this one I took apart recently. The battery is that big. Like, I want to say around that big. It is guaranteed, I swear to you, these will guarantee 8 hours of use. You can just straight up forget to charge these. Like, if you bring them to school, just charge them in the morning, they last you all day, no matter what. And if you're at home, you can forget to charge them for like a couple of days. Speaking of school computers are really nice. They are actually really nice. As much as I want to say they're garbage, the hardware is kind of like these. They're pretty nice, and they're actually better. But because of how locked down they are, what's the point of even getting them? When, like, I know mine used to be annoying because every single time, you open it up, you have to type in your login. And then someone needs to shut their dog up. Anyhow, every time you turn it on, you got to type in your login. And every time you close the lid and put it in your backpack, it logs you out. When we're not even using Chromebooks that stay in the classroom, they go home with you. It's so annoying. I used to hack them to pretty much make them a better computer. At one point, there was this hack where if you had it opened up and you were in the login screen, it had an apps folder where you can use apps on the Chromebook when you're not logged in. So I would use, and it was mainly for test taking, because they don't want you to log in when you're taking tests. It turns the Chromebook into pretty much you can use one website only, no matter what. So it makes sense. Anyhow, there was an exploit where you could pretty much open Chrome while in one of those sessions. And it was a completely unlocked version of Chrome. You can run extensions. It didn't even know it was managed. The only downside is it didn't know how to be Chrome half the time. So you had to install an extension to be able to hit Control-T to open a new tab. Or even move the window around. It was super heavily managed in that regard, but other than that, it was free. But that got patched out. But it was fun. I actually had a lot of fun because that extension allowed you to have a new tab page with a custom background, or at least I modded a custom background into it. It would show your battery life, the time. It had buttons to add like Google accounts and into other settings. It was really cool. And I'm sad that a lot of kids they will not have a hacking experience like I would. Because everything's so locked down now, you can't even try. The earliest I would pretty much hack them, I used to use Google Sites, and this is back when Flash was a thing. I would download Flash files online from, different websites, like, I think there was one called like Super Mario 63, and you could just straight up download the web game into a .swf and then make a Google site off it and pretty much paste it in there. You could locally have it downloaded to your computer and you could run it. I think they even had Doom at one point. I'm not for sure on that. But it was cool when Flash was around because there was no protections on where the game was. But that shut down, and that was pretty sad. I had a lot of fun with it. So, pretty much after that, I learned that you can turn off the school's blocking by changing the DNS server on the computers to something else. A DNS server is what makes Google.com, like when you type in Google.com, your computer contacts a server, is like, where can I contact Google.com? And then they give you an IP address. And so, I think my school then... Okay, my phone said no ranting no more. I ran out of storage, so I had to clear some things, so... Anyhow, I used to pretty much have a war with, I want to say IT, but they didn't even know who I was. Every time they would patch out games, give me a day or maybe a day, and I would have them back up. I would work on unblocking these so hard. It went from pretty much the one day cool math games went down and everybody was sad in my second hour English class. And I'm talking, it got noticed on the dot fast. Which that day was sad because we actually had our blocking software and they would only block inappropriate sites. And nowadays, they're so locked down. You can't play games. You can't do anything. I bet you can't even use Photoshop online, like Pixlr. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can. Schools kind of need you to use it. But my point being is that you can't do anything on them. Anyhow, that marked the day that they put their foot down that they don't like video games on the Chromebooks. So I want to say, yeah, a day later I got past that. And it got to the point where that, the trick didn't work no more. So there was this, I don't know why it worked, but essentially if you went to securely.com and you made a bookmark where if you clicked on it, it put custom code on the web page. If for some reason, if you went to securely.com and pressed on that and added custom code to the page, you could load the website with so many cookies that the extension would pretty much cease to work. I don't get why it worked, but, and I wasn't the one who figured that one out, but it worked. And I was so interested in how that worked. The guy who originally made it obfuscated his code. He didn't want other people to know how it was made. So I went through and I reverse engineered it. And I uploaded it to the internet. I don't have it online no more, but I have it locally on my computer and maybe a screenshot or two. But yeah. And if you don't know what a cookie is, it's essentially every time you go to a website, your computer would send what's called a cookie with it if there was one set. Where essentially, like, let's say the only personal data I could think of is age. Let's say there was a button that said, like, are you under the age of... no, that's such a bad thing. Oh, well, maybe it's for ad reasons. Oh, am I under the age of 12? Am I under the age of 18? Am I over 18? Sure, why not? For ad reasons. Or screw it. I consent to personal tracking on a website. That data can be put into your pretty much your computer. And every time you connect to that server, you would send that bit of data as well. That's called a cookie. I don't know why, but the extension, which is not solely... the extension would pretty much send the same cookie as the website? I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why it did that. Anyhow, that worked for the longest time, and matter of fact, I made it to where you can enable and disable it. I made it to where you can install a Google app on here. And it worked as kind of like an offline web page. It's a PWA if you want to look into it. But whenever you clicked on it, it would go on Google. But when you right-clicked it, it gave you the option. It gave you an option to open, I think I called it Kill Curly. No. But it allowed you to enable and disable your securely. And I thought that was so cool. But I would have to get another computer, like my Windows laptop, have it hook up to that to its hotspot, change its DNS server to that computer, open up securely.com in HTTP, so that way I can inject a cookie. Or no. It's so that way I could technically have a web page that exists, but whenever it's installed, it doesn't make a request to securely.com. And the way I did that is I did like, let's say, some gibberish and then .securely.com. So that way, whenever my laptop would try to send the request out, Securely wouldn't respond, so it wouldn't it would pretty much, the website, the web app would say it's offline and it would keep its code. That's probably a lot of hoopla. But hopefully post edit I'll add like images and such. And what sucks is that I know that these methods don't work now. Yeah, anyhow, that's my big rant from these Chromebooks, which I'm about to sell to that. I think I'm gonna be making I know this one, some dude's paying like 35, almost $40 for, but I only get profit like 25. This one I'm only selling for like, I want to say 15. I could sell these for more because of how unlocked they are, but I'm doing a community service and they're passion projects of mine. But I'm essentially selling them, get more money, to get cooler things, to sell those maybe, to get more cooler things if I do. I've sold other things to get myself a new laptop coming in the mail. And I might make a video off that where I'm actually using it. Besides these, where I'm talking about them like legends. Oh, I forgot to tell you about this. Yeah, the Chromebook that came before this one was a lot cooler. It was bigger though, but it was a lot cooler. Ran fast. The display was a high resolution. And it had 64 gigs of storage, so you can install Windows. The only problem is that you couldn't use the built-in speakers because the dude who makes the drivers for Windows for Chromebooks makes all the drivers free. But the sound, and with the sound, you have to pay for your freaking sound. You have to pay for it. I mean, yeah, you could plug in headphones and use those, but why do you have to pay for freaking sound? Like, I know it's the support to the developer, and I actually do appreciate it. Matter of fact, I got Windows to run on this one. I actually have, but you have to have a USB stick. And it's alright. If you install Windows on a Chromebook, make sure to download your drivers. Make sure to download them. There's a Chromebook one-click installer. Because if you don't, these things become so slow with Windows. Literally over time, they will get slower and slower until like after not even 10 minutes of using them, it becomes unusable. So make sure you download that as soon as possible. But yeah, no, these are sweet laptops. They have a nice build to them. This one, yeah, it has 2 of the rubber feet off. But I mean, that was to mod it. I don't have them no more. They fell off over time. You wouldn't notice it. They're well built. They're well taken care of. This one actually, both of them are technically outdated without mods. Chrome OS only supports for like, I want to say 4 years. They literally become bricks after a while. You can't even, this one wouldn't even connect to Google, I don't think. How the fuck does a Chromebook not connect to Google? How does it rot that bad? Because, I don't know, no one pushes updates to them. Matter of fact, when they're modded, you can install Chrome OS Flex. It's Chrome OS made for regular desktops. You can install it on here and be able to use these with Chrome OS up to date with no issues at all. But no, if you leave it as be, they freaking rot. Like, these remind me of, oh yeah, that's the only damage on this one. But I mean, that happened recently. And it literally, what I was going to say is that they're so strong. They're like pretty much ThinkPads in the way, but like they're not as crazy. Like, yeah, you see images of kids absolutely messing these up, but they would have done it to any other laptop. It's just the fact that kids pretty much have laptops down their throat nowadays, that instead of them breaking like pencils and stuff, and textbooks, they're breaking these things. Oh yeah, about the Chromebooks going bad after a while. You ever notice that your school changes models of laptops after so long? Yeah, no, unlike Windows laptops, these you have to upgrade after a couple of years of use. After 4 or so. Or else they literally will not get updates, period. I mean, yeah, I've seen in school, like, someone run an old laptop every now and then because the system gave it to them. But, I mean, they've never had any issues. But these things are getting thrown out by schools. They're getting thrown out by schools en masse because Google makes them. Like, I mean, it's maybe our contractual thing, but these get thrown out by the hundreds. By the hundreds. By every school. They're so good. These things will last you all day. This will last you pretty much your entire life if you wanted to. They have such good battery life. Maybe the processor's not that good. Maybe the RAM's not that good. It doesn't lag that much. Like, I straight up use these as main laptops to just chillax, watch Google, maybe write a note or two down. I could do schoolwork on them. I could pay bills on them. This one, I know I can do it on both, but I even got Minecraft to run on it. They're so good, but no, they get thrown out systematically. Why? Like, schools could make a banger by literally having someone like me on site. And if they're throwing out laptops, literally I could go in, custom firmware them, make them run Chrome OS Flex to keep them up to date, and then make a lot of money off of pretty much essentially flipping them for, like, I know $20 most of them will sell. And it would last people forever. Matter of fact, there'll be such good laptops that people would come back to get the newer model because of how reliable they are. They'll get you through anything. Anyhow, that's my rant. I think I'm done. But if I can, this next laptop I'm gonna review because it's a ThinkPad Yoga 11E. The ThinkPad part of it is pretty much, it's durable. The yoga part is, it's a 2-in-1. So you could take the screen, open it, but flip it all the way around 180 degrees and use it like a tablet. But there's no reviews on it yet. I mean, there's a couple, but it's not them using it. I'm really excited because I've never actually used, I think, or even seen in person a 2-in-1 laptop. And it's looking at the specs and it's not that bad either. I can run things on it. So I'm very excited to use it. And it's weird, nobody has a video on it. I bought it for so cheap, and I'm kind of scared that it's so cheap. But nobody really has a good video on it. And it's kind of sad. Because there's videos of like, oh, I upgraded this. I literally had to go back and run Windows 8, install a driver for it, and then upgrade it to Windows 10, like update it. I think he did like it through a USB stick. Anyhow, pretty much people would be on YouTube describing how to get it running, but they will never review it. I'm kind of biased because I'm not even opening up and reviewing them. But I mean, I have a reason at least. I'm selling them. I don't want to go and reset them up and spend like 30 minutes on it. I've already spent too much time on these. Anyhow, my rant's over. Goodbye, YouTube and or other social media. Peace.